Good morning, children. We are continuing the evolution chapter. In that content, natural selection, industrial melanism. Yesterday we discussed pepper moth. Before industrialization, white moth survived. After industrialization, black moth survived and selected by nature. Like that we discussed in the yesterday's class. In today's class, we are going to discuss about artificial selection. It's a artificial selection is a byproduct, what is called byproduct of human exploitation, very important, exploitation of forests, oceans, and you know very well, okay, forest, oceans and fisheries are the use of pesticides, herbicides, pesticides, or drugs, okay, for hundred of years, okay, 100 of years, number one, humans have selected various types of dogs, all of which are variants of the single species of dog, the dogs. Okay, this point you should have to remember. Next, the most important point I am telling to you. If human beings can produce, new varieties in short period, then nature with its vast resources, and long duration, okay, this point also you should have to remember. And long duration can easily produce okay, new species by selection. Okay, children, observe very carefully. We are discussing about artificial selection. What is artificial selection? Nature means natural selection. Artificial means man-made selection. Is a byproduct of human exploitation of forests, oceans and fisheries. Because of human, what will happen? Sometimes exploitation of forests, oceans and fisheries will be there, and the use of pesticides, herbicides and drugs what will happen? Well, like this pesticides and herbicides and drugs they used in the sense, what will happen? Some changes happen and a new what you called selection will be done by the humans. For hundred of years, humans have selected various types of dogs, all of which are variants of the single species of the dogs only. See dogs, how many types of dogs? Doberman dog is there. Okay, then normal wild dogs are there. Like that, when so many number of variety of dogs are there. Dogs are all single species only, but number of varieties are selected by humans. So, if human beings produce new varieties in short period, then nature, with its vast resource and long duration, can easily produce new species by selection. So, human only producing like cabbage, broccoli, like that. The cabbage, how many varieties are there? So, man selected. Like that, in the human only created the or identifying the new varieties in the sense. What about the nature? Nature have lot of vast resources and long duration can easily produce a species by selection, natural selection. So pesticides, if you use the more pesticides which have resistance will become human. Which are resistance towards pesticides that will be survive and it will be continue that species and offsprings. Like that, artificial selection is a byproduct of human exploitation of forest, oceans, and fisheries, and use of pesticides, herbicides, drugs. Okay, like that, the artificial selection will be there. Okay, for example, best example, you take the dogs only. In the dog, how many species are there? It's all man created only. Okay, that is called artificial selection. Next one, we are going to discuss about next concept. What is the next concept? That is adoptive radiation. Adoptive radiation. For understanding point of view, here one species is there. From this species, some are going to this, some are going to this, some are going to this, some are going to this. This is one species or one particular bird. Here, becoming new species, these birds, according to food habits, they will change their what you called food habits. They change their mouth parts shape, mouth part shape, beak shape. Bird means beak shapes. Here birds, here different. Here one species. Here one species. Okay, this will become new species. And this is new species according to the conditions and according to the food availability. What will happen? Food availability. These are becoming new species. These are becoming new species. Here new species. Means what? Radiating. But these all are common from. All are coming from common species. But they are radiating and becoming new varieties and new species. This is only called what you call this kind of moving different locations and making into forming from single species and forming new species is only called adaptive adaptive radiation. This point you should have to remember. Okay, now we are going to complete topic. Okay, new species. Okay, new species, a single ancestral a single ancestral form a single ancestral form becomes single from a single new species, from single ancestral form to what you call new species will be formed. New species are formed. So what you call why single ancestral form to new species are forming and adopting. How the new species are forming? They are adapted to adapted to newly invaded habits. Newly invaded habits. So here new habits, here new habits, here new habits. You know, that's why they change the complete shape of structure and becoming the new species. New adapted to newly invaded habits. Okay, this is the point you should have to remember. So this kind of what you called thing is only called adaptive radiation. So adaptive radiations are best example for classify. They're called best example for this adaptive radiation. Best example is Darwin finches. Darwin finches. What Darwin finches and also Australian. What you called Australian marsupials. Australian marsupials. Both are examples for Darwin. What you called adaptive radiation. So more than one adaptive radiation. For example, more than one adaptive radiations happened in the sense what you call that leads to more than one adaptive radiations occurs in the sense occurs in isolated geographical area in a isolated geographical area. This point you should have to remember. Occurs in isolated geographical area in the sense they will be they will be same new varieties will come and varieties will come having the same structural having the same structural and functional similarities. So this leads to what will happen is due to why what do you call this kind of evolution convergent. What do you call convergent evolution. Okay children, so observe very carefully what I am telling. So adaptive radiation means single species they are going to different areas and changing their food and body parts and becoming new species like adapting. Okay, same species but different structures. Okay, like that is there. Now this function is different, this function is different, this function is different, but appearance little bit similar. Like that one evolution will be come. Okay, now what is the adaptive radiation? Adaptive radiation will be there like this. Same species going to different areas and converting into according to their food habits, availability of food habits, they are changing their shape and becoming a new species in the sense that is called adaptive radiations. Okay, adaptive radiation is single ancestral form to new species adapted to new invaded habitats in the sense that is called adaptive radiation. Examples for adaptive radiation: Darwin finches and Australian marsupials. More than one adaptive radiation occurs in isolated geographical area having the same structural and functional similarities is there in the sense. Structure and function both are similarity in the sense shows the similarities. Structure and function both are similar in the sense that leads to what kind of evolution? Convergent evolution. Same shape and different functions, divergent evolution. Different shapes and same functions in the sense they will be called that leads to which one? Convergent evolution. Different forms, maybe different species, but arranging from same species in the sense that is called convergent evolution. So we are seeing best example for this all Darwin finches. We are going to see about which one? Darwin finches. How Darwin finches are mainly helpful. how Darwin finches are main reason for the adoptive radiation we are seeing. So now common Darwin finches we are discussing. Darwin finches. Okay, observe very carefully. Darwin finches. What is Darwin finches? You observe carefully. The common ancestor of Darwin finches. Common ancestor. Common ancestor. Common ancestor arrived on the which one? Galapagos lands. Galapagos. Which one island that is? How many years ago? 2 million years ago. MYA means what? 2 million years ago. During that time, observe very carefully. During that time, what is there? During that time, Darwin finches have evolved. Darwin finches evolved. Darwin finches. Okay, you have to remember Darwin finches. Darwin finches evolved. Okay, evolved 14 recognized species. 14 recognized species. This point also you should have to remember. 14 recognized species. They're different in body size, different in body size, beak shape. Next, feeding behavior. So what happened? From main common species to ancestor species to they went to different locations. Here there's body shape, feeding behavior because of body size, beak shape. So some beaks will be like this, some beaks will be like this, some will be like this. So like this, different shape of the beaks because of the food habit, feeding behavior, they changed. But they all are arised from common ancestor. Okay, that is only called adoptive radiation. Okay, so next here different food. What is that one? Because insects are different. Okay, insects, seeds, nectars. You understanding or not? So these all are very important. And okay, blood from what you called iguanas. So these all are selected by which one? Natural selection only. So they went to different locations according to the condition. They changed their body size, shape, beak shape, feeding behavior. Okay, understanding or not? So some birds will be like this, some birds will be like this, some birds will be like this. Like that, different beak sizes are formed. Why these beak sizes are arising? Genetic variation. These many beaks, one is like this, one is like this. Okay, one is like this. Why these many beak shaped? Okay, they identified the reason for these many beak shaped. What is that one? Genetic variation. You know very well, genetic variation, change in the genes, in the especially which gene, you know, ALX1 gene, very important bit. ALX1 gene. This point you should have to remember. In the DNA. This point you should have to remember. In DNA. Okay, Darwin finches are associated with the in beak shape. So mainly beak shapes are main reason changes because of conditions and food habits. So this is the best example of which one? Adaptive variation. And mainly beak shapes, why? Mild mutation in which gene? ALX1 gene. Mild mutation in the ALX1 gene leads to, okay, ALX1 gene leads to which one? Phenotypic changes. What do you call? Phenotypic means external character change happened. Same like that. This is the one example. What happened? So Darwin finches, common ancestors arrived on Galapagos 2 million years ago. Common ancestor. From this common ancestor to the time Darwin finches evolved 14. How many? 14 recognized species. They are different in body size, beak shape, feeding behavior. Why? Their food habits, their availability of food, insects and seeds and nectars, blood from these all are natural selected materials. Because of this, what is called the changes of the beak shape changed. Okay, but common ancestry is similar for these all birds. Like they spread different areas and becoming new species in the sense that is called adaptive radiation. Why these big changes shapes are changed? What is the reason? How this big shape would change in the sense? Some genetic variations. Which way? Which gene of genetic variation? ALX1 gene in DNA. Some variations. Because of that, big shapes are changing. And mild mutation in common changes in the ALX1 genes too. Gene leads to which one? Phenotypic changes. New species are raised. That one only best example for which one? Adaptive radiation. The next one more example is there. What is that one? Marsupials. One more example for this. What is this one more example? That one we are going to discuss. Marsupials. Adaptive radiation. One more example. What is the one more example we are discussing? Marsupials. Marsupials in Australia. Okay. And placental mammals. Placental mammals recorded in North America, which have placenta. North America. So two subclasses of mammals. So these all are why? Okay, why these are adapted in similar way to particular food resources. Adapted new changes, particular food. Recall resources, food resources. Next, locomotory skill and climate. So marsupials, Australia and placental mammals. Two subclass adopted. These all are mammals. Both two are related to mammals, but adopted. What do you call? New characters. Okay, that one we should have to remember. So they were separated from. These two are separated from common ancestors. Common ancestors. They are separated from. Okay, separated from common ancestors. Okay, when 100 million years ago. MYA means what? 100 million years ago. So then what you called? What happened here? This is the geographical area. So here common ancestors are there. Here. Suddenly what happened? Geographical isolation happened. Separated. It is recalled separated. It will become a one continent. Another become another continent. So these are according to the conditions, these will becoming new species. Here are the conditions, these are becoming new species. Maybe marsupialian, Australian marsupialian, and North American placental mammals. So what you understand from this, the ancestors are common ones, but because of some geographical, what you called geographical, what is that? Geographical isolation. Observe very carefully these words. Geographical, what is called geographical separation. Geographical separation. Geographical separation. Marsupials in Australia. Marsupials in Australia. Marsupials in Australia. And placental mammals. And placental mammals. Placental mammals in North America. In North America. Okay, North America, they produced variety of species. Varieties. Okay, varieties of species. Varieties of species they produced. Okay, like similar habitats and similar way of life. Similar habitat and what you called similar life. Way of life. Even they changed the variety of species. Okay, they are overall resemblance in shape. Next, locomotory mode. Okay, locomotory mode. Feeding and okay, for foraging or superimposed upon different modes of reproduction, different modes of reproduction. These features, okay, this is helpful for which one? Evolutionary relationships. Okay, this point you should have to remember. 200 species of marsupials are formed. Marsupials live in Australia. See, you can understand Australia. Okay, now few are placental mammals. Okay, so North America, what is that? What is North America? What is the condition of North America? Here also, what happened? Placental mammals are raised. Placental mammals are formed. Okay, children, observe very carefully. We are discussing about adoptive radiation. What is adoptive radiation? One species, ancestor species to some are separating and forming different new species. So common ancestor species, but because of their food habits, they're changing their shapes and structures and becoming new species in the sense that is called adaptive radiation. Same cases happened in not only Darwin finches, in marsupials in Australia and placental mammals in North America. Both are common. So these all are common mammals. But what happened? They have adapted to food resources, locomotor skill, climate conditions. According to the climatic conditions, they are adapted some conditions. They are separated from common ancestors. When 10,000 million years ago, due to geographical separation, the marsupials in Australia, placental mammals in North America separated. They become variety of species. They have similar habits and way of life. The shape, locomotory mode of feeding, foraging are superimposed. These all are common upon different modes of reproduction. So, these all are tells North American placental mammals and Australian marsupials are evolutionary relationships, common ancestors, and they are performing what? Evolutionary relationship. So, there are 200 species, what do you call? 200 species of marsupials and in Australia, placental mammals, and that 200 species of marsupials in Australia, maximum are placental mammals. In North America, placental mammals and even Australian marsupials and placental mammals are similar. But what happened? According to the geographical separations, their conditions, they changed their forms, body shapes, and become a new species. So this is also North American placental mammals, marsupials, okay, of the Australia, common ancestors, but according to the conditions, they divided, separated, and their conditions, according to their conditions, they becoming new species. So that's why these two marsupials of Australia, placental mammals of North Americans are best examples of which one? Adaptive radiation. So thank you children. Next class we will discuss about mechanism of evolution.